everybody.
Hi.
It's Christine and Tina with Ladies of the Lanai, and we're out on the Lanai, so we're finally out here to see how this goes, right?
Exactly.
And Tina and I are here today with a special guest, Nancy Stampahar. She is a retirement life coach, Nancy. And, we've said that our channel is about people that are, entering the second, sort of chapter of their life, thinking about retiring or going into retirement. So we thought it would be great to have a guest who kind of really specializes in that today.
Right. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad to be with the ladies of the Lanai today.
So you wanted to tell us about what's the name of your business and
My business is Retirement Life Coach Nancy, and basically I tag myself as a life coach for seniors. I help people navigate this stage of life, figure out what they're going to retire to, what's going to give them purpose and meaning, and then as I coin them, there's 10 different sand traps that we can land in when we retire, and I help them get out of the sand traps.
So would someone come to you, supposedly I would think they would try to come to you before they're thinking or as they're thinking of retiring?
That is ideal. So typically before they retire, we always think about how much money we're going to have. Do I have enough money to outlive, my life here? And what am I going to do and where am I going to retire to as well?
Right.
So the ideal is 1 to 2 years prior to the retirement time is to reach out, and then I can help people navigate that, what will give them purpose and meaning by assessing their skills, abilities, and interests, so they have a unique journey for themselves.
Okay. And then if someone, so let's just say someone like me, I never heard of that before, and now I just hear of you, I just retired.
Mm-hmm.
So would you have like a different game plan for me, or it's more of a catch-up?
Well, no, it depends on where you are. So everything is always, where are you right now, and where do you want to go? And if you don't know where you want to go, we look at options. Again, what's available for you. Again, this is completely non-financial. This is all about our lifestyle, what we're going to do for the next 10 to 30 plus years. Because retirement, it's not our parents' retirement anymore.
Right.
When, we can go ahead and live, another 30 years. That's like starting a whole new career. And if you think about it, you graduate from high school. And then we know what our options are. We're either going to go to college, go to service, get a job, get married, have kids, whatever it may be. But when we retire, what is it? And it's a big ocean. It's a vast ocean. Where do you go? And men tend to struggle a little bit more than women do because they're the provider, they're the protector, they have their career, their identity.
Right.
But then who are they now?
Exactly.
When that time helps. And I help people figure out who they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what the different stages are of retirement?
Sure.
And then we can ask you some questions about those.
Sure, absolutely. There are 5 stages of retirement. The first one is the pre-retirement, which is what we just touched upon. So you're starting to think about it. You can't wait till that day comes when you get to punch out for one last time and say, take this job, and you know what? It's time to go. You just are looking forward to that day. That's the anticipation stage, pre-retirement. Then there's the full-blown retirement, and that is our honeymoon stage. That is when, there we go, we are thrilled. We're gonna, we're on a major high right now. We're having fun. We're traveling, visiting kids, doing whatever it may be, just having a good old time, learning how to play golf, pickleball, whatever it may be.
That's where I am.
That's where you are, the honeymoon
I'm
stage.
in the honeymoon stage.
That's great. The honeymoon stage is fantastic. And typically, in most parts of the country, it's about 1 year to 2 years on average. But here in the villages, we have so much to do. There's just an abundance of opportunities.
The honeymoon keeps on going.
It keeps on going. It keeps on going. But eventually, it does end for most people. And it's about 4 or 5 years. Now, I've met many people who have gone 10 years, and they're just fine. So everybody weaves and flows through retirement, whatever is for you. But we know when the honeymoon is over, when it's in a relationship with anything, we start a new job and everybody starts getting under everybody's skin, whatever it may be.
Right.
So that is the disenchantment stage. And we're like, is this all there is to it? What am I going to do? Oh my goodness, I'm going to go back to work. I got to figure something out. And then that time happens. And that's when we have to be very careful, because if we don't get out of the disenchantment stage, we can slip into old age, depression, misery, and then when we become sedentary and no longer move, then our health declines.
Wow.
So what you have to do is move into the next stage, which is the 4th stage, and that's the reorientation. You get reoriented. You figure out what's going to bring you purpose and meaning. And it can take up to 15 years to get through all these different stages. And then lastly, once you figure that out and you get your, your routines, your structure, whatever it is, you've accepted this stage of life, then you are in the stability stage in reconciliation, and you settle in nicely.
Sounds like a marriage.
Yes.
Doesn't it sound like
Well,
that?
it's human behavior, it's our mindset, it's our thoughts, it's our actions, it's our activities, and how we live our life. So we know it ebbs and flows.
Yeah, yeah.
I know when I was thinking of retiring, one of my biggest struggles was figuring out where to live. Is that something that you help people determine? Because, and you can tell me if this is a common idea, but I didn't imagine that I would end up in the villages, to be honest.
I think that happens to a lot of people.
I was like, because my idea of what I thought I wanted was, I was like, I want to be in a city, because I came from New York City. I want there to be younger people because I want to feel young. I want there to be a school, a university, because I want to take classes, like all these things. And then when I came here and I visited my friend Nellie, whatnot, and she was telling me, I'm like, well, maybe it's not so bad. You know what I mean? Like I came back a few times, and then after being here, there's so much. And like you said, it helps you not be sedentary. I mean, you can do as much as you want or the least amount you want. There's classes you can take. There's so many things you can engage with. So do you help guide people what they think they want and then help them figure out what they really want?
Right. Actually, we do. That's one of the sand traps. When I mentioned before the 10 sand traps, the housing is a sand trap. And it depends on where you live now. And it is ideal to be in the villages. We are the world's best retirement community, the largest. We have so much opportunity, all the different activities. It is ideal. However, I have clients that are not in the villages that coach virtually, and they are in single residential homes. And so it's a big decision where you can live financially, away from family, away from your friends, your daily routines, your structures. So there's a lot to take in, and plus moving and relocating, it's a lot of work.
It is.
And then you're starting over, which is very challenging during this stage. So I do help people figure out what is best for them. Everything is always based on what is best for that unique individual.
Yeah, so there must be a lot of discovery that you go through.
Absolutely.
And then and it must be different for people who are single than people who are in a couple situation.
Absolutely. Everything is varied depending on the person that you're with at that time. So it's
So I'm in like the second stage. So I'm in the full retirement. I retired last June, really July 1st.
congratulations.
Thank you. So I was here working part-time and doing stuff, but then when I fully retired, I was like, okay, now I have time to do all these things. And what I find myself now is I want to do this, I want to play golf, I want to learn pickleball, I want to take diamond painting, I want to do, Zentangle, this and that. And it's figuring out the structure of my day. So again, is that something that I feel like I'm all over the place trying to do everything I want to do, and I don't have enough time to do it.
Right. That's one of the wonderful things about the villages. I mean, there's so much, and it can be a full-time job just living around here having fun, which is, not too bad, actually.
Having a social life.
Having a social life, but it is very overwhelming. And another one of the sand traps is our structure and routines. The workplace, believe it or not, even though we can't wait for retirement, it provided structure and routines. And structure and routines are good for us. It's our safety net. We know what's coming next. It provides us, the routines that we need. So when we're picking our different activities, I always tell people the first year of retirement, just go with the flow, have fun, try, diamond painting, try pickleball. Be careful though, it's the #1 injury out there. So be careful on that pickleball court, but it's fun. Anyway, so go ahead and go for it, but it can be very overwhelming. And so that's when it comes to setting priorities, and then also just setting limits and boundaries. We need limits and boundaries with ourselves as well as with others, because it's a very social life here, which is great. And we can be pulled and out to dinner, out to lunch, out to breakfast, out to everywhere you go. But so yes.
Do you have advice? We did a show on how to make new friends in the villages. And when you talked about, it's a big deal when people relocate, like what's your advice for people if they like pick up and move to Phoenix or to wherever, the villages, like how to find their tribe, but how to, make new friends and find your structure within those friends and being social and all of that. Do you give advice on that?
I do, actually, and I help people navigate that because friendships are very important for us. We learned through the pandemic that isolation can really be detrimental to our mental health and our well-being. And we know when that happens, again, we become sedentary and our health starts to decline. So when you relocate, we always think that everybody's going to come visit us and they're going to come visit us. And some do for a little while, but people just are natural dynamic. We get on with life wherever we live. And so friendships and family doesn't visit as much. So you have to start over. Right. And making friends at this age can be challenging, especially if you're an introvert. Introverts really have a tough time because people drain them. However, we need people, especially as we age, for our care teams. So the best way to go about making friends is, sure, go out to interests, but meeting people, I'm a believer that you meet them with common interest. So if you are into pickleball, of course, or softball, go do that. If you're into art, you'll meet people with kindred spirits and a passion for art or history, whatever it may be.
Like you just said, music. You wanted to, you're an old rocker, right?
Exactly. I flashed back to the Grateful Dead the other night at Everglades. How fun!
You went by yourself.
I did.
And, there's always that chance that you'll meet other people that were kind of cut from the same cloth.
Exactly.
And like that same kind of music.
Exactly.
And then,
and there were a couple hundred of us, and we had a really good time. So, we draw back, as you use the word discovery. When we discover ourselves at this stage, we go ahead and discover things that we enjoyed when we were younger and either bring them back into our life. However, we all have hidden talents and passions within us that have never been discovered. So it is really getting yourself out there and putting yourself out there and trying new experiences to meet your new tribe, to meet your new interest and find your passions.
I mean, I tried new things. A lot of people here are into card games and dice games, and I never played any of that. So I've kind of stayed away, but a really sweet friend was having a game night, and so I went. I don't know anything, but I learned 2 new games, and I never had that skill set before. Now, just like you said, it's fun.
Yeah, you go out and try. And actually, cards are a really great activity for the brain. So at this stage, we really need to keep our mind going and our body going.
Yeah. So it all ties into the question about, how to make new friends or how to make friends when you go, uproot from where you've been for whether it's decades or whatever to a whole new place. And it is try that new thing, not as well as that familiar old thing like the music. Right. Or, I know Tina wants to play softball.
Yes.
And my husband did too, because he used to play, and he just was so excited. And he played football, but he got hurt. So,
wonderful.
But anyway, those old things.
Old things, and try a redo. Maybe when you were younger, there was something you did and you just never enjoyed it. And you think, I'm not going to like that again.
Go.
But you might. You might. You just have to try.
There was something else that I had read once when, when you were like in retirement now, you go back to things that you loved, but also things that you were pushed away from. Like, let's say you were you loved dancing, and someone said, "Oh, you're too tall. You're like, you're too blah, blah, blah." So you stopped, but you loved it. And so in retirement, it's a chance to go back and say, "I don't care," because at this point you don't care.
That's exactly right.
We don't listen
Be
to other people so much
Be
anymore.
yourself.
To go back and revisit those things, that people told you couldn't do or you weren't good at, but you really loved doing anyway.
Or even your inner voice told you weren't, even if it wasn't somebody else.
Exactly.
It could have been your own inner voice saying, I couldn't, shouldn't, won't do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always tend to say that retirement is a time of freedom. It's a time to thrive. It's a time to be your authentic self. Be who you are. And again, if you had limitations in the past, there's nothing holding you back. It's a time of freedom. You did your job, you worked your career, you raised your kids if you have them, and now it's your time. That's one of the messages I send in all my classes.
I kind of feel like now, I'm like, how did I ever have time to work?
I know, that's
with everything going on in the village.
That's good. But we also need to note for those that don't live in the villages too, because I know you have viewers from there. And if you are one of those in a single residential area, go to your local for adult ed classes that they have, other local community resources. I'm a big believer in seniorplanet.org too, for those of you who can only connect virtually. They have online different types of programs, and you can meet people on there. So seniorplanet.org, a lot of free classes, and it's a good way to stay connected.
Never heard of that one.
And then what about
ARP,
the disenchantment? So at some point I'll go through the disenchantment of. I think a lot of it is like after the thrill is gone, like you find out then what's my purpose. And I noticed, we keep talking about the villages, that there's a lot of people who do a lot of volunteering and giving. I think the villagers in general are very giving, and you'll see all the different charities and charity work. And so is that finding the sense of purpose, is that through the disenchantment stage?
Well,
or it helps you get through that, or?
One of the key success factors to enjoying this stage of life is 92% of retirees claim that having purpose and meaning in their lives is what brings greater fulfillment and happiness during this stage. So you have to find it. The guru in this is Ken Dychtwald, and I always recommend that people read the book What Retirees Think. And he talks about the 3 different changes all retirees go through. And the number 1 is our identity. Who are we without our job title? When we were a project manager, a CEO, a fireman, a policeman, a teacher, a nurse, whatever it may be, a mom, a dad, when a caregiver, whatever, when our identity, who are we really? So that is one. The other is our relationships. Our relationships change, especially when you move away. Your work friends are gone. Your social network at work is gone. So that's very challenging. And then lastly, the third is our activities change. Eventually the bodies do peter out.
Yeah.
We really do. So it's very, very important that we take care of them even more so. So ways to go ahead and do that, there's different types of lifestyles. And one of them is the volunteer, the altruistic. And so yes, the villages and anywhere in society, no matter where you live, go volunteer. It's good for whoever you're helping. It's good for your own soul. It's good for society. So I'm a strong believer in volunteerism. That gives you purpose and meaning and gives back.
And then is that also, so that takes you through the reorientation stage too, or?
Well, that would get you into there because you know what you're going to do. So that would be, it's all an evolution. Again, it ebbs and flows through there. And so when you figure out what really matters to you and why you're doing it, that's also part of the process of the discovery. Why do we do what we do, and why don't we do what we don't do? Something like that. You know what I mean? But bottom line is you're getting to the why of the matter. And so why, that helps govern us, knowing our values, and that helps you drive in your own unique path.
I forgot. I lost my thought there.
Yeah, it's okay. I was going to say more about friends, because not only you lose your work friends, but and your family, but also your neighborhood, your community, your church or your temple, or like everything that you knew. Sometimes your kids, sometimes your grandkids.
Right.
Everything that you knew is now new again. But that is also the beauty, if you will, of finding a new place. And in your second chapter, is what I like to call it, is because we're more or less, you're going to be around other people that are in the same boat. So you're going to, more or less, I do find here, and I think it's probably the same wherever you might retire to, that it's easier to make friends in a way, because you're all sort of looking to restart. You're all, looking to make friends. So it does become easier. And I think people are super, super nice when you
especially in the villages. Absolutely. And you have a good point. Everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah. And more on that point of, if you're an introvert, try to get get yourself out anyway, and not say, oh, nobody came over and brought me a casserole because I just moved here. I don't think that really happens so much.
Right. You have to go after it.
You kind of maybe fantasize they're going to bring me a casserole, but it's not real life so much. I mean, you might, if you're lucky, get something, but you have to sort of go out. If someone's walking a dog, go say hi to the dog, or whatever the case may be. You have to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
And you'll see that it'll work it'll work.
Do you also feel retirement is a stage of reinvention?
Absolutely.
Like, if you didn't like the person you were before when you were working, that I'm going to do this differently, I'm going to be this kind of person.
Absolutely. It's actually throughout life, we always have the opportunity to change, to make ourselves better, whatever it is to make yourself happier. And the happier we are, the better off we are in many factors for there. So yes, it is a complete retirement reinvention stage. Be who you are according to your own unique values and interests that matters to you. And you don't want to live with regrets. So if you are a tough cookie at the workplace, and it's like
Yeah.
kindness needs to be your thing, you can become kind. You can develop this. You can change whoever you are, really. I'm a strong believer in that. People believe I am who I am. However, our mindset and our actions are by choice. We can change them.
Yeah, like that saying, be the change you wish to see in others. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you are, I'm going to go back to the introvert situation. If you're an introvert and you just wish that, people would, come over to you, well, just try going over to somebody else.
Right.
Like be that change
You have
that you
to
wish
get-
to see.
Exactly. You have to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
If you want to reinvent yourself, if you want to make new friends, if you want to find your purpose and meaning, you have to get out of your comfort zone. And we know we like our comfort zone. It's nice and easy. However, I don't mean to be a downer here, but it takes more discipline as we age, unfortunately.
Yeah.
To take care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What would you say are like a list of questions or a handful of questions if someone's starting to think about retirement? What are the top few things besides like talking to their financial advisor or things like that, but for the happiness and purpose part, like what would you recommend
It really is
to begin their journey?
To begin the journey, I have clients go do a curiosity list. Take that one for yourself. So take a curiosity list where you just write down things you're curious about, things you've been curious about all your life. You have to have a curious mindset because once you understand something, you master something, you have to be a lifelong learner. I call them long life learners, actually. So, you want to be able to keep going. So start that way. What are you curious about? And then it can evolve. And always just go with the flow. You don't have to have an exact plan, but write out a vision of your retirement. How do you imagine this? And then, of course, with anything, there's going to be goals and action plans. But just start your brain thinking of who you are, how you want to live, and how you envision that stage of your life.
There's one, and I think it's called the Boomeranger. The
Oh,
Boomeranger
yes.
one.
Oh, you saw the stages
But I
in my
hear,
article.
I hear, and especially for men, when you say it's men that have a harder time, but that people retire, and if they didn't have a plan and they didn't have any hobbies or activities, that they don't have, like, there's no structure or whatever, and they end up going not necessarily back to the same job, but they go back to work because they don't know what to do with themselves.
Correct, right. So the boomeranger is actually someone who does, I would say, I'm done, but then they go crazy. That honeymoon stage might even only last for a month for some. It's true. I've met many people and they're heading back to work. Boomeranger is going back to the same profession, the same type of work that you did before. Or, in the villages, we know 30, I talked with someone here who thinks it may be close to 50% of villagers work in some capacity, whether it's anything from, community watch to teaching at the Enrichment Academy, which I do, and so it's being able to go ahead. But we have to always, again, go back to the why. Why does striving and being an achiever and doing that to-do list and showing your successes and your credentials and your degrees and all of your accomplishments, what is that doing for your ego there, and why are you doing it? Why does it have to be work? So what are you trying to prove to yourself, to others? Again, going back and looking back. So asking yourself the why. Why do I have to go to work? What did it do for me? What did it make me feel? And then what else can I do to get that?
I'll say that my husband is one of those men who might have struggled with that initially. I mean, he did fall into retirement really quickly. Seemed to be settling in, but then he got called back by his old company. Would he consult? And it was basically an offer he couldn't refuse, and he felt so honored to be asked that he did. But it was much more time consuming, and travel was required, and he started feeling like,
I say now he's like,
it's work again.
even though it's just consulting, and even though it's like he couldn't do it unless he was all in. He couldn't do it on a piecemeal, if you will, basis, or as needed kind of a basis. It was torture for him. So he had to abandon it, and now thankfully he's it's on the subject earlier of having that framework, or that you're doing so much you don't know, because when you worked, you got up at a time, you ate at a time, you got dressed, you had a schedule, and now we don't have anything. I mean, now we both work just part-time for the for the golf department, and I always say it keeps us a little bit honest. It gives us a little bit of a schedule so that we don't, flounder around, I guess, if you will, or just.
Right, we can go straight, we can get easy, we can get in our comfort zone, we can drink, we can eat too much, we can do whatever it is when we're bored and we don't have anything. But I think one big message I definitely want to make certain I address here, what I say in all my classes and with all my clients, the goal at this stage of life is to be happy, healthy, and productive. Whatever that is for you. It does not have to be this big it. You don't have to be Colonel Sanders and create Kentucky Fried Chicken. It doesn't have to be that. Are you happy, healthy, and productive? That is what is most important for you.
Do you find people who feel like I can't retire, like I can't?
A lot of people can't sit still.
Yeah, can't sit still, or I can't leave this job, or it may not necessarily be for financial. Because I know when I was about to retire, like the market took a big hit, and I was talking to my financial advisor, and I said, I don't want you to tell me that I can't retire because I'm going to retire. Like whatever it is, it is, and I'm going to make it work, whether you bring your lifestyle down, your whatever down. But I think besides the money part, I think some people feel like I'll never have enough, I'll never have whatever, and I can't go into retirement, like mentally.
And
like
what's governing that? What
I don't know.
What are they? So when they do that, they're afraid. So why are they afraid? When people leave work does a lot for us, very good for us actually. But what are they afraid of? So we're always holding on to something. And when we're able to cut the cord, everybody's different. Now, of course, you do have to talk to your financial advisor, make sure you do have enough money, and you have to be responsible and live within your means. That's a big adjustment for people when they retire. So you have to do that. But at the same time, there's always some sort of motivator behind us, because it might be, I'm afraid to figure out who I am. I might not like who I am without my work. My work strokes my ego for me. And there's a lot of different reasons why we do what we do. Now, there are those people, and I have to admit, I'm generally one of them. I love my work. I love coaching, but I really love teaching my classes and being a speaker around the villages, and I just love it, and I'm going to do till I can no longer physically or mentally do. As long as my health is in shape, I love it, and I'm going to do it. To me, that's my pickleball. That's my pickleball. And there are people who absolutely love the work that they do, and that's a little bit different because that becomes their hobby. And if you're one of those, but you have to realize, is it authentically the reason why because you love it, or is it some other reason that now you're going to miss out on life? So
you're afraid of change.
Afraid of change, and it's a big void. And the other aspect too, when people do retire, I always tell them, take a year. You don't have to just go with the flow for a year to figure things out. Get uncomfortable, even just staying on the couch for a little while. It's okay. It's okay to have pajama days, once in a while. But I do tell people, at least get out every day if you can. Maybe some days stay home with a day of rest, whatever it may be. But again, happy, healthy, productive is the most important message.
I was going to say, as a single person also being here and being retired, it's more challenging. It's not as much now because I know more people, but in the beginning to put yourself out there. So, you're retired, now you have this time. I want to meet people, but I feel like, are they all couples? Is it going to be, I don't want to be a third wheel. I don't want to go to everything, where they're all coupled up. So, what are the challenges for individuals versus couples in retirement?
Right. Well, it's a different lifestyle because you have your couple things, and then unfortunately in our society, when you're no longer a couple, things can sever, with friendships, which is kind of an awkward situation. But when you're single, again, it goes back to the comfort zone. Like me going to the Grateful Dead the other night. I wasn't going to miss out on jamming, so I went ahead and went there. But it's getting out of your comfort zone. And you have to realize things are always kind of messy and bumpy for a little while until you get to flow. Anytime you join any of the clubs or the groups anywhere, everybody's nervous and awkward, even just in our W Bond group, I felt a big difference in the meeting last night. When you're doing something repetitively with same people, the bond, the comfort level gets easier. You just have to keep pushing during those tough times. And most people, once you do it, they always say no pain, no gain. So with anything really in life.
Absolutely.
What have you found that has brought people fulfillment and joy, and from talking to all these people retiring or retired, looking at what has been your observation?
Depends on the individual. There's a gentleman, he says, if I can get up, I'm 92, if I can get up every day and play golf, that's it for him. And that's what gets him going each day. I have another woman who her first thing she did when she retired is she went right to the church. And she went to the church and became a volunteer and built her sense of community. We talked about that before. You have to have your sense of community. It all depends on the individual. I had a client come to me who, when you talked about at the beginning, oh, there's so much to do, and she came to me, is this all there is to it? Well, ended up she just needed to cut back and not play golf as often. So it's just everybody goes with
You
their
feel
own
like
flow.
you're missing. You have that FOMO. It's like,
Yeah, but you know what? These golf courses are going to be here for a while, you know, and the Villages is even building out, so there's even going to be some more, and wherever we are. So it's learning to find that work-life balance, actually, as you think about it.
that's true. But I just feel like, oh, I want to get better at this. I want to get better at that. I got to play more of this. I got to play more of that. And then I don't have time to do some of the other stuff.
It's all about
I
choices.
know.
Yeah, it's all about choices.
Yeah, triage.
Yeah, priorities, you know, trade-offs.
Well, she's still on the honeymoon.
Well, this is true.
It's technically.
This is true. That's true.
Tina's still
Go
on the
ahead.
honeymoon.
Yeah.
So she's allowed to.
That's a good point.
Be in love.
What stage would you say you're in?
Oh, gosh. What comes after honeymoon?
Disenchantment.
Disenchantment. I'm not disenchanted, though. No. So.
You're still honeymooning?
I guess
You're still
so.
honeymoon.
Yeah.
Some people may never get there. I've met people here, again, they'll go 10 years and they are fine just doing this kind of lifestyle. And that's fine. That's their traditional lifestyle. And that's great if they're happy, healthy, and productive.
You know, I think I was disenchanted when I first came, because I think I skipped honeymoon and I was disenchanted because I wasn't comfortable being so far away from my family. I just wasn't
That's
comfortable with
tough.
it. And I remember telling my friend, I feel so
Right.
far away.
Right. Right.
So I was disenchanted right away.
Right.
Because you felt, your life was back there?
My people were back there.
Yeah. I can understand that exactly, because I worked with a woman the first year she came down here. It actually was her honeymoon, so a little bit different than you. But the next year it was like it's all over, not for her. But then I also worked with someone who, and this happens to many villagers actually, they get down here and they give up too soon. They don't want to do the work to make new friends, to make a new lifestyle, because it's hard. Again, it's out of your comfort zone.
Hard.
And it's out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And you spend, fortunately you had your husband there, but you made it through.
Yeah.
You made it through.
And I have another friend who I won't mention, and she says that, she is very busy and does a lot of things, and her husband is struggling. And I think she's a little concerned.
Right.
What advice would you give?
Very concerned. I've met many women say, talk to my husband, talk to my husband. Very
Yeah,
true, very true.
common, yes.
Very common, because again, as we said at the beginning, men are the providers, that's their identity. And then now, they feel worthless, they're not needed, whatever it may be. And so it's okay again to go through a void, and it's okay to even be a little depressed actually when you leave work, because that's a lot of loss. A loss of the connections, the structure, the identity, and it's okay. But there comes a time, just like in any type of grief, which there's a lot of grief when you retire too, it's mixed emotions. When that happens, eventually you have to pick yourself back up and get going. So that's, again, unique situation. It is okay to be on that couch even for 3 months, it's okay. But there needs to be a time that you get back up and get going. If not,
That's good advice.
then that's when it's not necessary coach, maybe that needs to go into see a therapist. And that is a difference between therapists and coaches.
Good advice.
I forgot what I was going to say again.
You're loaded with them
That's
today.
all right.
That's
That's
great.
all right.
That's great.
So while you're gathering your thoughts, did you want to tell us about where you do coach, the Enrichment Academy and that kind of thing? So
Sure.
we had somebody say that the Enrichment Academy is the top unknown secret, like about the villages that people don't know about, and then when they find out about it, it's like it's a gold mine. So why don't you tell everybody what it is and what you do there with them?
Got it. I'm a super fan of the Enrichment Academy because my background actually was HR training and development. So all of this coaching, a lot of executive leadership coaching, staff development training, everything there. So I'm just carrying those skills into a different population right now. And the Enrichment Academy, we've got the spring semester coming out here on March 22nd. For those of you that are here, March 22nd is the expo. Hundreds of instructors teaching all kinds of things, from art to cooking to psychology type classes, which I teach, to history to technology. And I'm a big fan. You go, the prices, I mean, for the most part, are very inexpensive. You meet people at classes. One of my favorite things, I teach different classes at the Enrichment Academy, and I have them meet and in the class because my classes are very engaging. So people have made friends and contacts from those classes. And it's just a great opportunity. Again, you have to keep your mind going and your body going so you can keep going.
What
That's
are
what I
some
have
of
to
your
say.
more popular classes that you've taught?
My most popular class is Congratulations on Your Retirement, Now What? So it has to do with more of an educational class on the 5 stages, the different sand traps. We dig deeper, have people do a couple assessments, some worksheets. That's a very popular class. The other one is from retirement to re-energizement. And that one is about shifting our mindsets and our daily habits and routines. And I use James Clear Atomic Habits techniques, and we teach people to change their habits of thought and their habits of daily routines for there. And the other ones, When Life Gives You Lemons, Make Lemonade, because this is a wonderful stage, but there are times it gets tough, especially widowers, the different challenges or a health decline. There's a lot of loss, unfortunately, at this stage of life versus when we're younger and we have all that to go to and look forward to. So I help people bounce back and make lemonade.
Yeah, I think my mom is going through that. My dad passed away almost 2.5 years ago, but you know, she keeps identifying as a widow. And when I'm like, well, go do, because she was a very social person. She's still social, but it's where I get it from too. She had International Ladies Club. My parents had lots of parties. She would do quilting, this and that, and now she played bridge and blah blah blah. And now it's kind of like she, you know, oh, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I don't, you know, we'll go for a walk around the block.
Yeah, it takes, and there's some people that can stay in that trap, unfortunately, and that's the going solo trap. And I'm a believer. Actually, I'm with our fellow member Mary Ellen Shea. I'm the keynote speaker, and we're calling it Thriving Solo, rediscovering yourself as a widow or widower. So it has people figure out who they are when they don't have that identity again, and that whole habits and the routines and the structure, doing everything together. It's a very tough, hard situation, but you can thrive or you can stay status quo.
The other thing I would say, again, as a single person, like I've been in charge of my life for so long. You know, I'd say I'm an alpha female where I can do this and I can take care of that and I can, you know, blah blah blah. I do want a partner. So in retirement, trying to find someone who's in the same stage also as you, because also in the villages there's a lot of people coming down, I think, and they're semi-retired or they're partially retired or they're still working remotely down here. So finding someone who has the same time that you do, you know, to do the things and enjoy in retirement, you know, that has the same goal.
Right.
It's just another pitfall of being single.
Well, I'm single too, and I believe, you know, and I live and I take care of my mom here in the villages as well. So, but I believe when my time comes to date, there's someone out there for me, and there's someone out there for you. It just keeps putting ourselves out there, and we find our matches. We find our matches at the time. The villages, our population is huge. I don't know exactly how many are married or single. I think it might be 60% is married. Do you know?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know the exact you know, stat on that. But there's a lot of single people, and you know, the sad part is ends up being a lot of widowers too. And so, but there's someone out there for you.
At the same stage.
Yes.
Do you find that people are talking to you about retiring earlier now, or in an earlier age than when you
Depends
first
on
started?
the individual. No, actually, well, some of my clients actually are down here in the South area, are getting ready to retire. So it depends on everybody's career and where they were. There are some people that can retire early and People love the lifestyle. So as we know here in the villages, many have sold their home up north to come down here and still work remotely. So they're ready for the retirement. They're kind of easing their way into it from there. So I do not know statistics as to how many are younger or older. I do know that there are a lot of people going back and working to some sort of part-time job. The baby boomers, because we're living much longer, and even out of financial reasons and out of purpose and out of structure and mental capacity. There's many reasons why people work.
I was gonna say, I feel like everybody here has a side hustle.
Yeah, it's a hustle. It's a gig economy out there. Everybody has different side hustles and more than one from there. Everybody, because there's an opportunity to be the entrepreneur in America and do your own thing.
On your own time.
On your own time. That's what's nice. Now retirement, again, a time of freedom, a time to thrive on your own time.
On your own time.
He was sighing too.
Yeah.
So if someone is starting to think about retiring,
Retiring.
and they come to you, is it, do you have like a schedule of session? Like how long do they work with you? Do you say there's like 5 sessions, or you do one and then talk to me in 3 months or something like? How does it work?
Good question. It varies, okay? Again, according to the individual. How it always starts for everybody is a complimentary consult. So I do it via, Microsoft Meetings is what I actually use. So we do that just to find out where someone is right now. And depending on the individual, how much personal growth they need or how much accountability they need. I've gone anywhere up to 8 weeks with people. However, I've been finding it's more or less about 4 is about average right now. So we start out there, and again, working with a coach is a lot of self-reflective activities. I have worksheets, and I call it my main assessment is a 12-page reflective. I give people a couple weeks to go through it and answer all kinds of questions. So working with a coach is actually work, and so but we work in a partnership. And especially for clients here in the villages, I'm able to have a great pulse on the villages, so I keep my eyes open to what might be of interest to them, and then I forward things along through there. So it's a process, but about 4 is about the average, and depends on the individual. We space it out according to their schedule, my schedule. It's very flexible. It's unique for everybody.
And are there any other major, I know you had the traps or pitfall, but any major pitfalls that you can think of as people are starting to think of retiring?
Just realize, I think people get surprised that you can actually be bored. And you can actually be bored in the villages. And there's a few reasons for that. You mentioned it earlier, Tina, about how people never had any hobbies or interests. And so if you never explored any type of activities like that, you're kind of starting from zero. And so you have to learn to be able to go explore. But again, the hardest part is getting out of our comfort zone. There are many things. Everybody has that innate, there's some sort of talent in us that might not have been discovered or became dormant. From there, so it's getting out there. So the boredom can actually happen, and just be ready for the different losses that happen. It's hard to age, and but it's up to us. Our health outcomes, about 75%, it depends on the study, anywhere from 75 to 90% of our health outcomes are based on our lifestyle. So that's all by choice, and the rest is genetics. So we need to really take care of our bodies for us. And it's average age 63, where the CDC says some sort of major health outcome is going to happen. AFib, osteoporosis, sleep apnea. Let's start going. Your knees need replaced.
Yeah, joint replacement.
Yes. So all these different things can happen, but it is, again, all by lifestyle choice. And I believe just have fun, but do take care of your mind and your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that.
I think also the other thing I was going to say is the people that don't have new hobbies or whatever, and I'm guessing, you can tell me, it's that they were always good at what they did, all those things, and you don't want to either fail or be bad. Like, I've come here and I look like an idiot probably, but just trying all these things, doing new things that I never did before, because you have to start somewhere. But there's also a part of me I think that's what drives me, that I want to practice, I want to do more, I want to be better at something. But I think there's also personalities where I'm not going to go golf because I tried it once and I wasn't any good.
Both of those situations are all up here.
Yeah.
It's all by choice and it's all by attitude. Two things. The one thing you did, the word failure. Go out and try something. We're not going to get fired. If you can't do the hula hoop,
you can't fire me
exactly.
now.
If you can't do the hula hoop, you're not going to be fired.
And you're not gonna
give it a
die.
and you're not going to die. So really, it's putting our fears in check, you know, and just getting out of our comfort zone is what it needs to be at this stage of our life for us. But there's lots of opportunities and lots of possibilities. Again, it's about choice, it's about mindset, it's about taking care of ourselves. And the ultimate goal, happy, healthy, and productive.
Happy, healthy, and
productive. That's what we need.
Sounds
And go
good
to
to
the
me.
Enrichment Academy. I'm a believer in all kinds of, even if it's not my class, but you can come to my class. But if not, there are a lot of classes to take.
But that would be a good introduction for them to, you know, check in with you on retirement, and then if they want to
Absolutely.
explore it more, they could do
Absolutely.
one-on-one.
Yep, exactly.
And how long is your class at the?
They're all 2 hours each, just one time.
Oh, it's
2
one time only.
One time,
2 hour
2
class.
hours each, and everybody gets a workbook. So they'll have worksheets, and they'll have different articles I've written for the Village Neighbors or Style Magazine, and
Okay.
information there.
Wow.
That
Yeah,
sounds
it's
good.
great fun. I love my world, and I want everybody to be energized about this stage of life.
They should be.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you know, I've said it before to you. You can't help but not feel energized when you're around Nancy. I can see why you're a coach. You know, you help people sort of restart and rethink. And
Yeah.
Well, there's a certain energy when you talk.
Yeah.
There's like a brightness and energy, especially when you talk about your work and you know, your eyes like light up. So
Yeah, well, it's the work, but what I really love, and just when someone who from my class, gosh, I think she was in January, and she just reached out to me this week. She said, "When I let you know, I went to your class, I made a decision. I bought a home down in Lake Denham. I'm making the changes. I'm moving down. My husband's so happy." And that's what really gets me. When people
yeah.
do something to better themselves, then they're bettering themselves, their life, they're bettering society. And that's why I love doing what I do,
yeah.
empowering
great.
people.
Okay. Well, it was nice talking with
It
you.
was nice talking to
Really
you
nice.
ladies
I
on the
learned some new
Lanai.
things. On the
Yes.
Lanai.
On the
We are
Lanai.
finally on the
Yes,
Lanai.
this is great. It's been great fun.
Yeah, good.
Well,
We
thank
learned a lot.
you.
Hopefully everybody who's watching learned a lot. We're going to have a bunch of links down below, some of the ones that you mentioned, and also ways to get in touch with Nancy in case you want to, or the Enrichment Academy as well. We've done that before. But hopefully you learned something from watching our show today, and Tina and I really appreciate if you like and subscribe and share with others, because it really helps us know that we're doing a good job, and that's what gets us energized.
Yeah. These ladies are doing great.
Yay. So now we can say, see you out on the Lanai.
Bye.
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 Oops.